All right, hi everybody. Thanks for being with us here on News Center Maine streaming app on your phone or on your smart TV. Ryan Breton along with Christian Bridges. As you just saw, that was a brief update we did on the television side. Now we're just going to continue here on streaming for a little while longer to chat about what's going on, because storms have been very slow to develop today. But the Storm Prediction Center and the Weather Service have issued this severe thunderstorm watch for just Franklin and Oxford counties, as well as most of northern New Hampshire back to the Lakes region and for the northern half of Vermont. Christian Bridges is here with me. And Christian, let's chat a little bit more about this, because the dynamics in the atmosphere have been impressive, but a wrench got thrown in today with all of this wildfire smoke. And we just have to see how these storms evolve through the night.
That's right, yeah. And, you know, we kind of had this stable layer out there in Maine. We've been watching the storms all evening, the few that have actually been able to develop. And as they've crossed over into Maine, they've just been kind of dying. So we'll see if, as we get into the latter hours of tonight, if we can finally break through this sort of stable layer that we've had. But yeah, it's been kind of a slow day today, and it kind of goes along with the big evolution that we've had all through the day of the severe weather. Initially, yesterday, it was looking like northern Maine and the mountains were most favored for this. Northern Maine, you've been kind of eliminated from that severe weather threat. We're not expecting any big storms there. It's really shifted off to the west. It looks like western Maine is looking like the spot for severe weather. So of course we've got this severe thunderstorm watch up for Oxford and Franklin counties as well. I want to jump into the radar as well, if we can get Ryan back up here. Also, let's pull up the radar, and you can see we do have some more storms beginning to develop in New Hampshire. We did have a warning on them in Vermont. No warnings at the moment, Ryan. So far, the storms have been pretty tame. We'll see if that changes later tonight.
Yeah, you know, they sure have. And it's interesting. We never expected really anything to develop until the nighttime hours.
Right.
But it's even kind of less than we thought so far. These storms haven't organized.
It really looks like we would see a lot more activity, you know, off to the north, getting ready to head our direction, and that just kind of hasn't been the case all afternoon. Of course, we had the weird yellow sky today. We had the wildfire smoke, and from what we've been reading with the Weather Service and what they're saying, kind of seems like that's put a really stable layer in the atmosphere. It's kind of stopped the storms from going off, it seems.
Agreed, and that's good. We don't want
Great
severe
news
weather
for us, yes.
But I know that for a lot of people who caught the forecasts over the last really several days, because this has been pretty evident that there could be nighttime storms since back on Friday.
Right.
You know, it's a little bit of maybe a surprise, but I imagine some people saw the cloud cover and the smoke during the day and realized it didn't get as hot as we were thinking either.
That, and not only that, I know a lot of people were commenting that the sky, you know, being so yellow and this weird color with the wildfire smoke made it seem more ominous, but kind of funnily, it was kind of working against the severe weather potential the whole time. So even though the skies kind of looked, you know, we talk about a green sky before a tornado or something like that, kind of had those kind of colors in the sky today, but didn't mean that the severe weather threat was going up. In fact, it kind of meant that it was going down because of how much wildfire smoke there was.
And you made an interesting point, too, about the smoke maybe adding a little dry air.
Yep.
And we did just hear from the Weather Service, they put up their 8 o'clock balloon from Gray, and they said things are a little capped, right?
Right. That's exactly what they said. I'm actually going to see if they've put their sounding in there already.
Yeah, so they'll launch these balloons, and then they take a little time for the data to get ingested for all of us to see them, but they kind of get a peek as it's going up.
Right.
And they said it looked capped, which basically means there's instability there, but the instability isn't able to break through and generate clouds.
And with big thunderstorms like this, what you want is the air to be getting colder and colder as you're going up, and this cap basically has put a little layer of warm air. So it literally is capping any of the storms from punching through that. And that's why there really just has not been a lot of activity, especially in northern Maine. I mean, northern Maine just completely shut out, and it was not looking like that was going to be the case yesterday at all, or even this morning.
And, you know, if you're with us starting at 4 o'clock on our news today, we started to make the point that even though the Storm Prediction Center's outlooks still showed pretty much a statewide threat, it was looking more like back in here.
From the moment we got in, we could kind of tell that it was heading in that direction. We even updated, we made our own little threat map for this as well.
Right.
And, you know, it really is looking like western Maine. So like Freiburg, Route 2 corridor, Bethel, Rumford, those spots probably have some of the best chances to get severe weather. It looks like south and east of there, they're probably going to be weakening. And, you know, if the past is any indication, storms like this, when they get to the coast, they tend to really not survive very well. So we'll see if we can get any strong storms towards the coast. But You can see where the watch is. It's just in the mountains and the foothills, so
Right.
you can see that that's the Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, too. They're definitely keeping that way of thinking as well. It seems
Yeah.
like it's across the interior.
I'll give you a second. See if you can load in that balloon data.
Yes.
I'll walk through some of the maps and graphics that we threw together here. I know that a lot of you, if you want to come back to me full for a minute, we're concerned about people camping, hiking, all those things, as we were too, given these are nighttime storms and not something we normally see. At the moment, the most concerning thing we have here is lightning. There was one severe thunderstorm warning, meaning that potential is there for 60-mile-per-hour winds or hail, an inch in diameter or greater, in the northeast kingdom of Vermont. That's been dropped. And there are no warnings in Maine and really not any storms yet. There's this one here that's just approaching the northwest border to the west of Eustis and Rangeley right now. But again, this watch goes through 4 a.m. and part of the reason for that is if we are able to break that cap, that warmer layer, and generate more storms, there's instability higher up in the atmosphere that can support them deeper into the night. So a watch just means the conditions are favorable, and again, it's really just western Maine. If there are any storms that get going, warnings would be issued for individual storms as the night goes along. This is one of our computer models that updates every hour, just kind of giving you an idea of the trend here. And again, this is 10 o'clock tonight. Most areas fine, but a better chance for storms. We already had some, of course, back in here. And we'll just have to see if they're able to hold together as they come south. Again, if there are any severe storms, we think damaging wind gusts would be the main threat. The tornado threat looks fairly low right now. Maybe it's somewhat higher to our west, especially in Vermont, where it's been a little bit more unstable and hotter there today, too. But you can see on this model, even at 2 in the morning, it's got thunderstorms back in Vermont. So we'll just see how this evolves as it comes southward. And it's gone by daybreak tomorrow, although we'll still wake up to some of the smoke and maybe a random shower. But any severe weather risk should be over by this point. So again, these are the main headlines. And our biggest concern were for campers, hikers, people who maybe aren't in a tent tonight and don't have sturdy shelter. And that remains the case in the areas that we've been talking about. And if there are any severe storms, we continue to think damaging wind gusts are the primary threat, although the Storm Prediction Center does still suggest the risk for a tornado is there. Christian mentioned the outlook that he put together. We talked about it about 3:30 this afternoon when it just became clear to us it wasn't going to be much in eastern and northern Maine. There could be something random, but it looks like the severe aspects will be farther west. And Christian, that pretty much lines up with where the watch has been issued. Franklin, Oxford counties. We'll see if anything makes it farther south from there, but it really just depends on how things evolve through the night.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice to see the thinking for this has kind of come together a little bit more. It was a little
Right.
all over the place earlier. It was very much playing this waiting game, but yeah, definitely seems like it's pointing towards, western Maine and the mountains for that real severe threat tonight. And, you mentioned something about the tornado threat, and we talked about this a moment ago, but the radar presentation of the storms, if we can pull that up full maybe, just does not
I'll step
really,
off. Or,
yeah,
there
there we go. Just really does not scream a tornado threat to me. Typically we're looking at when we are, anticipating a severe thunderstorm or tornado threat, we're looking for a hooking shape in these storms. They sort of have a curve to them. You'll often hear meteorologists talk about a hook echo. These storms don't really have a lot of that twisting motion to them. From what I've seen, not a lot of rotation in any of these storms. It seems like they are, if anything, wind producers rather than any, of course, spinning or tornado producers here. And I also want to point out, we've been talking about this all day with this cap in place in Maine, this warm layer aloft that stops the storms from growing. It's really just eating the storms as they come right into Maine. We've seen this all afternoon and evening, and even right now with the storm that we've got moving into portions of Oxford County near the Rangeley area, that is rapidly weakening. So we'll see if that trend continues. Maybe we can get some of this more favorable air into the picture here later on this evening. But right now, no warnings in place, nothing super significant. I know the environment is looking really favorable through the overnight, but we'll see what these early evening rounds of storms will do. They may actually hold back the severe threat a bit, I would think, if they continue to persist and they move through areas that have not gotten storms yet. It kind of would take some of the energy out of the atmosphere. So going to be interesting to see tonight. Definitely a very conditional, very, not sure setup here for us. It's not a slam dunk for severe weather, Ryan.
And to your point, that storm that is now near Rangeley has even weakened from when it was back just to the northwest near Sherbrooke in Quebec. So that's still a trend that we're seeing, which is good. We don't want severe weather, but I know a lot of folks have been, interested in this circumstance, in this situation. And the reason why we were especially kind of honing in on it yesterday was, number one, the timing.
Right.
But number two, the dynamics in the atmosphere were so impressive. It's just that this smoke seems to have really kind of shut things down.
Right. And speaking of, I did want to mention that briefly. I pulled up this.
Yeah.
We got plenty of viewer pictures and video, and of course, lots of pictures of the sunset this evening. If you happen to see the sun, it wasn't blocked by clouds. Earlier, you probably noticed it was a big red ball in the western sky, and it's all thanks to this wildfire smoke. It's been super, super thick in the skies. This was kind of the wrench that was thrown into our forecast today because models really struggle with picking up wildfire smoke. In fact, a lot of the fires here that produce this smoke didn't even exist 36 hours ago. Apparently there was a lot of dry lightning in Ontario, sparked off a bunch of fires, and then the winds really kicked up in the past 24 hours, produced a ton of smoke, and that's all been carried over here into Maine. So let's talk about the timing of the smoke. It remains really thick in our skies tonight, and again, this really could be the deciding factor of whether we get severe weather or not. If the smoke remains thick enough, it may keep that really stable layer in the atmosphere. It may just eat up all the storms as they move into Maine. It may not really be much of a threat for us here if the smoke remains really thick. Now, if the storms are sort of splitting the gap between areas of thicker smoke, maybe some of those stronger storms do make it into Maine. But again, it would really just be western Maine. It does not look like places to the east are going to get in on the severe weather threat. If anything, the smoke actually thickens up overnight. It's going to be very thick in our skies. Thankfully, not really impacting air quality, but it will be very thick in our skies as we head late into tonight and into tomorrow morning. We might have a very weird sunrise. It might be kind of orangey out there. The skies may look very overcast, even though it's just that wildfire smoke. The sun probably going to be a weird looking orange ball in the eastern sky. Thankfully, though, by the afternoon, notice how the smoke pushes to the south as dry air works in tomorrow behind this front that's bringing us the severe weather. We will push the smoke to the south. It's not looking like a good picture for southern New England. I don't think the smoke will clear out of there very efficiently, but here in Maine, looks like it will throughout the day. So even if it looks weird in the morning, it may look a lot better by the afternoon. So yeah, we've been watching the severe weather, but this smoke, Ryan, really definitely threw the wrench in our forecast today.
Yeah, and, to your point about the air quality, most of this smoke is at least a few thousand feet above the ground, but I have had a few comments from people saying, they can smell it or it's affecting them. I imagine part of that is it's really humid tonight too.
Yes.
The dew points have come up into the lower 70s in many spots. So that's, one element. It's going to be a really warm and stuffy night until that front goes by. And once that front gets farther away, then at that point we'll both drop the humidity and kind of ushers the smoke away too.
And it's like, we on paper, on the surface, everything looks right for severe weather, but it's of course not just based on what goes on at the ground. It's the whole atmosphere. And it's amazing. One little factor like this can really change a forecast quite a bit.
And it's interesting. I see we've got about 200 of you watching on YouTube. Thanks for being on our YouTube page. And obviously, this streaming update is on our mobile app. And then if you've got a smart TV, you can download the News Center Maine app on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. You can get all of our newscasts there, too. So if you don't have cable or something like that, that's a way that you can easily watch us. If there are any warnings, we're going to come back on. But at the moment, Christian, if we can go back to the radar, it really just doesn't look all that impressive to us. So I think that the concern level has come down pretty significantly. We'll just have to see if anything does develop tonight. And given that watch goes until 4 in the morning, maybe after this line goes by, it changes the atmosphere a little bit and perhaps something develops behind it. We'll see. Usually that's something where it would stabilize things, but given the upper air dynamics, maybe we can get something going later tonight. Right,
and this is, again, not your typical New England setup. Normally, if we had, these storms moving in this evening, it would really bring that severe weather threat to an end. But tonight, because the environment is just really, really conducive for storms, at least in a good chunk of the region, they're going to have to be, they bear watching pretty much all night long. So it might be that we're still dealing with some rumbles of thunder very early tomorrow morning, even through sunrise tomorrow, Ryan.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all evolves. But at the moment, it continues to look like the biggest concern is primarily west. As you can see, that one cell kind of died out as it approached Rangeley.
Yeah, kind of. That's been the trend all day. So we'll see if that continues or if we start to get the stronger storms making it into Maine, of course, we'll be right here on the stream, keeping you posted.
Cool. Just quickly, if you want to click back to the watch graphic, just to summarize again, there is a severe thunderstorm watch. Oh, that's okay. It'll come
there we
right
go.
back. There it is.
We got it.
Severe thunderstorm watches just for Oxford and Franklin counties, as well as all of northern and central New Hampshire and back into Vermont. A watch means conditions favorable for severe weather, but we have no warnings in Maine and no warnings in northern New England at this point. But given this runs deep into the night, it's something we'll continue to watch and just see how things evolve.
That sounds good. All right, we'll see you later this evening, and if not, maybe we'll make it to the 11 o'clock show without any warnings.
Yeah,
and
check in at 11 o'clock. If not before, we'll pop on if need be.
And keep those alerts on your phone, and especially if you know people camping in the mountains, maybe let them know that this is a possibility this evening.
Absolutely. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you soon.
Have a good night.